Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Sounds okay. I think the music needs to go down a little. Music's being a little funky. I'm trying something new. Trying to get my oh, get out of here. Trying to make my own music because my stuff was getting content ID flagged when I tried to put it over on YouTube. And VCV Rack is being a bit of a pain in the butt. I wasn't having this much issue a while ago. Ooh, that's terrible. Let's try and restart you. Let's restart it. See if that helps. Nope. That's a little better. Dang it, why is it taking so much? Alright, let's see if we can fix this. I'm going to swap over to top casting here so we can see what's going on. Alright. Maybe if I change this to more threads. Sample rate's nice and low. Ooh, that's terrible. Let's restart it real quick. Hello, tonnages. We're going to be painting some D&D minis tonight, but I'm having a little issue with my music. Let's see if that sounds better. Oop, nope, that's terrible. Let's go back to 4. Leave real-time priority on. And then let's click this up to 2048. Might be okay with that. Let's stick with that. Let's see if that works. If it ends up getting too crackly, I'll if it ends up getting too crackly, we'll just put on some Spotify and try to split the audio out so I don't get content ID flagged. So, tonight is Monster Night. And I figured what better way to go down the list than to actually go down the list. This is the spreadsheet that I put together probably about a year ago now. And let's see here. Man, I hate that. Oh. The music is still too stuttery. Too stuttery. Alright, we'll go ahead and just quit this. And we'll get some music going down here. Let's see, what do we want to listen to tonight? How about Stream Safe Synthwaves? Testing 1, 2, 3. We'll knock it down with fuzz. There we go. That's better. Okay. So this is a spreadsheet that I made a while ago that just to keep track of the minis that I have done and which ones I haven't, because the ultimate goal is to have a shelf with enough minis, with every mini from the monster manual. And that's not just one of every one, that's like a usable set. My goal here is to have things table ready. And so I was thinking we could just start from the top and work our way down. That's not a bad idea. I've got a couple here towards the top that need to be painted. Mainly this Acolyte and this Androsphinx. I've also got... I don't have them here. I think they're alphabetical by creature name, so that's going to be the Diva, or Deva, however you want to pronounce it. But they're in the monster manual, they're under angels, so we might just start there. Might, do them up here. But let's go ahead and do an Acolyte tonight. So I've already got it printed. So let's pull it together. Let's swap over to Painting View. I was thinking of doing an Azer tonight, but he's a little further down the list. We've been doing humans with the player characters that we've been doing. Hey, welcome back, Tonnages. Hope the music's okay. I ended up abandoning the VCB rack stuff. It's just too problematic right now. I need to figure that out. Okay, so let's see. So let's go to... We're gonna do the Acolyte tonight. Let's transition over here to the paint setup. Alright, let's see what we got here. Let's go ahead and get our water jar. And our Acolyte. This is the plate that I'm working off of. Plate of minis. I magnetize all of them, so it makes it easy to just kind of store them on these little metal plates. And this is going to be our Acolyte. We also had the Androsphinx. I do have that one printed off. I have an Androsphinx and a Gynosphinx. I haven't cleaned them or put them on bases yet. I actually don't have bases big enough, so I need to print bases for these guys. Here's the Gynosphinx. Those are going to need some love because they were a bit big for my 3D printer. Let's put the Azure on there too. Pop, pop. And then I think a little bit down we have, let's see, Ankylosaurus. I don't have one of those printed yet. I do have basilisks printed though. Oh, I got a bunch of bandits. Axe beaks. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and start with these two guys. And then we'll go... Wait. Ape is on my list, but I already have... Let's swap over here. Let's do this again. I don't think I've updated this list lately. Animated armor. Ape. I did finish printing the one ape. Canalot. Nope. Axe beak. I have two axe beaks. These are... So here's the two axe beaks. Those are kind of big boys. We'll do them a little bit later. And then the baboon. The baboon's small enough we can probably just knock that one out. And then the bandits, that's these guys, all right here. Oh, you can't see them because I swapped the camera over. That's these guys, all right here. And these ones are going to be like generic bandits. You can kind of see them. And these ones are going to be more stylized bandits that I can use for like the boss of the bandits or special, you know, NPCs that you, or enemies that you want to like stand out from the crowd. Okay. All right, well, let's get started here. Let's start with the Acolyte. So I've already cleaned this up. I've already got it painted. I mean, I've already got primed and zenithal highlight. It looks like I actually missed a couple places here or there. Sometimes it's hard to see where to clean stuff up, but then once you hit it with that zenithal highlight, it just really grabs all of the spots. You can see things a little better. Normally little things like this I wouldn't stress too much, but I'm feeling froggy tonight. There we go. I think that's probably good. Now, acolytes, it's a bit of a weird monster on the list, because you could have an acolyte of many different faiths, but I'm very much a proponent of being able to recycle minis and use them in different scenarios. That's why I like painting with black bases, because you can use them in a lot of scenarios. If you have goblins on a snowy base, it looks weird when they're in a cavern. So I'm going to kind of paint this thing as like almost a nondescript generic acolyte that could work in any situation. So I think I'm going to go with like a brown, and then maybe splash some color on the hood up here. And then we have a rope belt. So we're going to go bone white for the skin. Alright, so we're going to go bone white for the skin, like we do normally. And then we're going to use a, not snakebite, Gilliman flesh on top of that for the skin. For brown, I'm thinking something lighter, and I might do something dirtier towards the bottom and kind of transition it up to make it look like it's, you know, worn. But I haven't used my tan in a while. I like this one. It's a light robe with a dark robe belt, or dark robe with a light robe belt. I'm gonna use this one. And then we'll do leather. Leather brown for the belt. Alright, what for the cowl and the little hood? What about... My initial thought was like red. That's really stark and really stands out. You could go red, you could go blue. Oh, I've got an answer there as my reference image. Red might be nice. Really, any primary color could work. Red, blue, green. Purple might be interesting. Any more recommendations? That's not really going to matter too much because it's going to pop against like the dull browns. And he's just an acolyte. He's not like a priest or anything. I haven't used purple in a while. Let's go purple. That sounds fun. And then we're going to need something for the book. We'll use the same bone white. And maybe just keep it black. Black book with the white pages. Yeah. Nice and generic, nondescript. Alright, let's grab a brush. Scoot you out of the way. I did not clean my brush last time. I am a bad artiste. If that's not going to work. Shall we use the big boy tonight? Nope. Nope, that's not gonna work. What about this one? Yeah, that's a good one. We'll go with that. All right, wet palette. We need to clean that guy up because it's dripped everywhere. Should probably just replace this parchment, but feeling kind of lazy tonight. Alright, so we're gonna go this weird tan brown. Weird tan brown it is. There we go. Water it down just a little bit. Alright, let's see how she does. Yeah, that's gonna do just fine. So acolytes are one of the generic stat blocks in the monster manual. You can have an acolyte of Lathander or Melora or Tymora or whatever deity you use. They're good for if you go to like a parish of some place and end up getting into a fight around. Oh, get ready, I guess. Didn't know we were gonna have lyrics in the music tonight. These are some of the stat blocks to keep on hand for when you're interacting with people. I'm currently running Lost Mines of Phandelver for some new players in my church group, and one of the next places for them to go to is the town, Phandalin. They haven't gotten there yet, and that's like where they're headed to next. And there is actually let me check the chat real quick. All right, no party members are in here. There's a shrine to Tymora there, and I think Tymora is going to end up being important to the campaign. It's not actually built into the story setting, but one of the players is a cleric of Tymora, and it's kind of shaping up that she might be significant to it. So having an acolyte mini that I could pull out would be useful. Now, I am not a fantastic painter. I've been painting D&D minis for maybe a year now. I've been DMing and playing D&D in some capacity for, I think, 3 to 4 years or so, maybe closer to 3. And really only got into painting minis within the past year or so. Maybe a little longer. I think it was before COVID hit, but it wasn't too much before. So, I'm not fantastic, but my goal is not to be fantastic. My goal is to get minis that are table ready, because I want to play. I want to be at the table. I don't want to be a fantastic artist. If I happen to become a fantastic artist, well, hey, that's cool, because I'm all for picking up new skills in life and this, that, and the other. But I want cool minis to engage my players with. One of my bucket list, maybe on the bottom of my bucket list, goals is to like have a big shelf, one of the big Dungeon Master shelves with all of the minis on it, all of the terrain, the big airship, all of that cool stuff. I really want a big shelf like that. I don't really even know why. I just think it'd be really fun to have. Sometimes the heart wants what it wants, you know? You know what? It'd be fun to like have a shelf like that. And then when something crazy happens in game, you could like walk over to the shelf and like hover with your hand and be like, ooh, is it this that's showing up? Is it that? And like when you reach towards the dragon and everybody freaks out, but then you're like, oh wait, no. It's just a bunch of wolves. I just keep the wolves right there by the dragon. That'd be fun. I like messing with my players like that. Is it really this? Is it really that? I can't really do that too much with my current players though, because they don't know a lot about D&D. They're fresh. They've only played for like two sessions, so it's like everything is the unexpected right now. But that's okay. It's been a blast playing with them, teaching them how to play and learning the ropes of the game. There we go. I got one little spot right in there, right in between his book and his cowl. Right in there. There we go. Speaking of his cowl, let's do that next. Timor is an interesting goddess. I was reading up on her the other day when I was preparing for last game, and apparently, like, she has a twin sister. Like, there was another goddess of fortune. Can't remember the name. Taichi, Tych something, Taiki, something like that. She ended up getting tricked and corrupted, and something went down, and she got, I think it was Saloon. Something went down between her and Saloon, and she got split in half, and out of her came Timora and what's the other one? I want to say Bathsheba, but I mean that's a biblical thing. I know that that's not it, but it's like Bashir. I don't know. I'm gonna butcher it. I don't even remember, and I've only read it once. I haven't like rooted it in my mind yet. But she's like the goddess of like misfortune, of like bad luck. So in my campaign, we're gonna have, like, Timor has been watching over the party, interested in seeing the choices that they make, and interested in being the cause of the some of the craziness that they experience. I'm doing a new thing where when I recap last game's session, I'm doing it through the eyes of Timora, kind of watching down on the mortal realm, and she kind of banters about what's been going on and what the players are doing. There's a bit of a time loop that's happened in this game. It's not I've been heavily modifying Lost Minds of Phandelver, so this isn't like spoilers if you're gonna run the game. It's not actually even part of it. But I threw in a wand of wishes which the ultimate big bad guy is trying to get. He's trying to put out the sun, so that he's a drow, so he can put out the sun, so he can build a kingdom on the surface. And at the end, like at the beginning of the game, I kind of had a little bit of monologuing, just building up the story, where the players are at the end, and they're able to. One of the NPCs is able to stop the bad guy from getting the wand, and he wishes the players to have another chance, and it resets the story back to the beginning. And so there's this precedent that there's, like, this has actually happened 2 or 3 times in this cycle, and each time Tymora is kind of poking in on it and, you know, giving them aid here and there. Because, you know, this kind of stuff doesn't happen normally. People don't mess with the fabric of reality with Wish. At least not in my game. And so she kind of wants it to stop, so she's helping the players out. But it's like an interesting way of keeping the game, like keeping the beginning of the session in fiction. You know, previously on the episode, it's just kind of like, it's from Tymora's perspective. The party went here. These crazy mortals, they blah 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 blah. Or like when they go off the rails and outside of the guidelines of the book, she can comment on like how that was unexpected and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and use some of this guy here. For the belt. Now that that's dried. I don't know if having the belt lighter than the robe is a good idea. I'm not feeling lyrics tonight. I'll skip that song. I'll skip this one too. So, tonnages, do you play Dungeons and Dragons at all? Nope, I need to update the work. Give me a second. We are not working on Sphere Pedal anymore. I think that's how you spell acolyte. Acolyt. Yep. There we go. And I'm going to make his little side pouch the same leather color. Because I don't want it to detract. don't want to attract too much attention. I don't want that attention on his face and on that cowl and on the book. Yeah, that looks good. Let's take a little of this black, dab it over here. A little bit of tan. Let's get a nice medium goop. Now this might actually look like it's the exact same color as what I was painting on here, but this is wet. So it's definitely going to darken up once it dries. Go. Let's feather it in a little bit. All right, so that's the leather. Now let's get our bone white on here. Actually, before we do that, I want to go ahead and hit this base real quick because this is going to take a couple coats with as bright as this highlight hit it. Yeah, it's definitely going to need 2 coats. Alright, bone white. I feel like this gives a good base coat for the skin, at least lighter skin tones. And this head's gonna be easy because he's all bald. Probably should have thinned this paint down a little. Oh well. his hands. Now all I need to do on this is just be careful not to hit that book. Probably good, but I'm getting greedy. Yeah, nice. There was just a little tip on his finger that I'd missed. Hands are getting shaky. There we go. I think that looks good. I think the purple's okay. I think it probably would have been better with red. I might actually go over it with red. Alright, let's get this book. So the book's already pretty white from the zenithal highlight that I did. But I don't like stark, like just jet white. Very few things in the real world are stark white. Aside from like snow. Most things are a little bit of an off-white. So I like to use this bone white for that off-white. And I use a lot of it because of that. But I like to highlight in the bright white. It's actually an ink that I use for zenithal highlighting. And I like it because it shows through when you thin your paints properly, and it like bakes in some natural lighting. Oh, see, look, see it dried darker. Kind of looks like a little muddy mud. Yeah, I like that. But you can kind of see, maybe you can kind of see, like the back here, how that's all brown. And then it's a little darker on the front. That's actually because that highlight is showing through, or the black part's showing through. So you don't have to mess around with dark browns for shadows. You get like automatic shadows and automatic highlights. It's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, let's get a red. I think blood red's probably too much. Let's go with our dark red. Hello, 2020. Rolling with advantage. Welcome to the stream. We are painting D&D minis. And I am currently second guessing my choice to paint this Acolyte's cowl purple. So I'm going to paint over it with some red, because paint is kind of forgiving like that. normally get a couple different coats on this before you start losing definition on the model. Yeah, I think that's going to look a lot better. So if you're new to painting minis, you may not know that when you paint minis like this, they look like crap. They look like not hot garbage, just garbage. Right up until the end. Like the last 20%, where you start washing them and putting details on. That's when they really start to come together and you're like, oh man, okay. It's actually looking okay now. Up until then, they look chalky and just bad. Looks like somebody came in with a magic marker or a crayon and just scribbled all over him. It's kind of actually, oh man, I got some red on his neck. I've actually talked previously on the stream about how when you're just dropping down your primary colors, that it's actually a lot like just coloring a tiny coloring book. And it really is. And I think that red looks a lot better than the purple. Yeah, that's good. I'd love it if you guys said something in chat. I'm not forcing you to by any means, but that little chat ticker on the top left, I finally got it working. Spent about an hour or so today tinkering with it because I wanted to get chat actually onto the videos. Some folks are saying that I should use not Streamlabs, but the other one, the other labs. But I kind of like doing stuff manually. I kind of like, you know, I made these graphics myself. I made the whole layout and kind of stitched it all together myself. I kind of like just doing that kind of stuff. I'd really like to get my own music on here, which is what I was trying to do at the beginning of the stream, but VCV rack was just taking too much resources on my computer and cracking and popping all over the place. If I could get it working on a different computer or a different device, then I could like pipe it in and that'd be pretty cool. But we're just gonna listen to some of the Midnight tonight. Yeah, so if you guys want to say anything in chat just to make sure that it's like working, I'd love to see this thing actually work. But you don't have to. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I ain't your daddy. Okay. I think we are shaping up. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this paint away. Because now we're going to go shift to turbo. No, shift into washes and contrast paints. I'm going to use some contrast paint on the whites. Oh, that was a weird shadow. I thought I missed a whole quarter of his face. This is Gilliman Flesh. I like to put this on top of a white base. You do need to put it on top of something because it is like translucent. It's thicker than a wash, but not thick enough to just stand on its own. You know, I'm going to zoom in a little bit for this one. There we go. And this is where This is where the models really start looking good. Starts picking up the shadows around the jaw, underneath the brow. It actually starts looking like a face instead of a white blob. Picks up the ears. The only thing you need to worry about with this and with washes is to make sure that where it pools up, it's not too thick. You want it to be thick enough to give you a nice shadow. But if it's too thick, it can cause problems. It can like dry into weird pools and leave like coffee ring stains, which is the opposite effect of what you want. Unless you like coffee ring stains. That's what you're going for. There we go. So see, we went from that nice white to like this flesh color. And it looks a little dark, but that's because everything else hasn't been washed yet. Washing is going to bring everything down a little bit. So you want it, when you're base coating, you want to make sure everything's a little lighter than than the end product. So that once you wash it, they all get brought down to the proper levels. Ooh, there we go. See, this is going to sink in between these fingers. Leave some nice shadows in there. There we go. I'm probably going to need to come back and brush some highlights onto the top of his head. Give him a nice shiny chrome dome. All right. Let's go with that. Now we changed up our cowl so we can actually take some Carlsberg Crimson. Nice red wash for the cowl. And I'm thinking for the brown, we want something pretty dark. I think Agrax Earthshade for the cowl. For the robe. And then we'll do Seraphim Sepia, not to be confused with Cherubim Sepia. We'll use that on the book and on the lighter parts. So let's do his head and his neck are already kind of wet. They're still kind of wet. So let's do the robe next. When they're still wet, if you put something else wet next to it, the surface tensions can sometimes touch and it'll wick one color into the other. And that's not typically what you want. And we're just going to slather this on here. And this is going to hop in around the edges of the belt. It's going to jump into the crevices here on the back of the robe and the folds of the cloth. Just got to be mindful of where it pools up, mindful of the edges. If you let it sit too long and dry without like covering the whole surface, it'll dry and leave like a line there on the edge. It kind of looks like a coffee stain ring, but just on the edge. We're going to get some little highlights here in the belt. So not highlights, some shadows in the crevice of the belt there, which will be good. See, it just really brings everything together. Washes truly are asset. Let's see, I'm starting to get some pooled up over here under the arm. You don't want that. So what you can do is you can rinse your brush off. Get it nice and dry, and you can just kind of poke it in there, and it'll suck it up. Digging this tune. I love me some synth drums. Alright, I accidentally hit the edge of the book, so I'm just gonna swoop along the bottom. Give it like a little strip. Alright, that's all the robe. Since we did a little on the book accidentally, let's go ahead and get our Seraphim Sepia on there, and then we'll finish off with the cowl. And I think we'll be done with this guy. I might come back and do some edge highlighting on the bald head. Look like an old worn book. Yeah. Nice. Alright, so let's get some red on here.
My name is Michael Knight.
I was gonna say, this sounds like Knight Rider. There we go.
My name is Michael Knight.
Yeah, so that's gonna give a nice shadow underneath the cowl right there, the hood. I also want it right in the middle where the two pieces come together. There we go. Let's put him under the fan while I clean this off.
My name is motherfucker.
Okay. How much time we got? Ooh, we're only an hour in. That didn't take long at all. I think we can probably do the start on the Azer. He's got some detail. And I am not the best. Uh-oh, is my camera not autofocusing again? There we go. It's got some good details. But it don't really know how to go about painting fire and flame effects. And these guys are super flamey. Flamey, oh my friend. I like copper and fire. Let's get some highlights done on this guy. Well, and we'll call him good. Now normally what I would do is I would use the undercolor to highlight. So like for this I used I used the bone white to do the base coat. So I would use the base coat just bone white to highlight. But with contrast paints it's a little different. That normally works out pretty well if you do that for things that are just washed. But there is a significant amount of tint change when you use the contrast paint. And I felt like I needed to darken it down a little bit. And I think that's accomplishing the job. I am just going to use some of this tan. And I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to kind of get it on these sleeves a little bit. Like I said before, I don't want to draw attention to the bottom of the robe. Kind of want to keep it up towards the top of the model. Should probably let this cowl dry a little bit more, but I am impatient. So I'm just going to do it. And there's really not much method to this. I'm just kind of like looking at what's already light, because my highlights are shining through with the zenithal highlight, and the wash is darkening the shadowy spots. So what already looks lighter, I'm just going over that mildly to push it up into a brighter color right around where it's already bright. Sometimes I do too much and it goobers it up, and it would have looked better the other way, but can't be afraid of mistakes. One of the side effects of magnetizing these bases that I actually really like that I didn't even consider was being able to just hold this little grip and run my finger across the base and spin it around. It's insane. Like, as opposed to doing this, it's so useful. It's like a really nice degree of control that I didn't expect, and now I kind of can't do without it. It's like so limiting when I have a bigger mini that like the magnetic connection isn't strong enough, and I have to use like sticky tack. And I'm like, man, I wish I could just like. All right, let's put an eyeball on him. Maybe even two. All right, stop moving. There we go. Paint dried. All right. So the way I like to do my eyes is a black blob, a white blob, and a black blob. Yeah, I think that's good. It's way too big, way too much. But the advantage of doing it this way is then you make the white blob for the eyeball smaller than this. And then this ends up being, this big black blob just ends up being like eyelashes and shadows around the eye. And then you do a little white blob, a little black blob inside of the white blob for the pupil. It works out really good. For example, while those eyes are drying, here's one of my favorite minis. See? His eye, it's just like, say that, how it's got like the black around the outside. That's the first blob. Then you got the white blob in the middle for the eye, and then the little blob for the pupil. Here's another example. Just a black blob, a white blob, and a black blob. Now where you position them is the important part. And there's some theory behind that, but I can't go into that right now. Not the best. But it's just a generic acolyte. It's not a piano. Doesn't have to be perfect. Put them on the fan for a second. Let them dry. All right. That was a lot. Not too bad. He looks really dirty under the camera. A little bit of red. A little bit of this dark brown. Just kind of dirty it down a little bit. Put some lips on him. And let's take some beastly brown and give him some eyebrows. I wonder. Should I give him like a friar tuck around the back? Nah. I'll save him bald. Yeah, looks good. There we go. We got us an acolyte. Nice. All right. Let's go ahead and update our dude. We have a little time. We can start on the Azer. A-Z-E-R. And I'm going to mark Acolyte done. Cleaned, primed, and painted. Nice. Alright, so probably not going to finish the Azer tonight. Do I want to start on him tonight? You know what? I'm going to paint this baboon. Since we only have a couple minutes, this is going to be pretty simple. This is going to be not fancy at all. Let's find a picture of a baboon. Find a reference image. We do like to keep it PG on the stream here, so I need to find one that's PG looking. 'Cause holy cow, there's a lot of inappropriate pictures of baboons out there, yo. Okay, I think I got one. And I'm using this mostly for the where the shading is. Looks like it's lighter underneath. We'll need to focus on some stuff on its face. But I'm going to use the browns that I have. We're going to go Beastly Brown. And we're going to use this Burnt Umber for the darker parts. You know what? If we do Beastly... Actually... I bet if I did Beastly Brown with some of this tan, that would give us our undercoat because that would lighten it up a little bit. And then we could probably dry brush some darker stuff on top of it. Yeah. That tan doesn't have enough red in it in this Beastie Brown. Gives you some of those reds in there. Water it down a little bit. Alright, let's see how it looks. I did! Hey Remington, welcome to the chat. This is just a dollar store, like a sandwich container. And I had to tinker with it a little bit to get it to work right. I put a sponge, like I got just like a scrubbing dish sponge, and dropped it in there. But I found out that dish sponges don't normally do really well for wet palettes because the pores are very thick. Like the holes in the sponge, and if they're big like a dish sponge, then they can have little pockets of air underneath it, and whenever you have a pocket of air underneath, that will actually dry your paint out. Like you want as little of that as possible. So it's best to get some sponges that are like very small pored. I don't know what it's called, so that'll keep those pockets there. What I ended up doing though is I laid a paper towel on top of it, and I let that, wick the water up from the sponge, because like a paper towel normally isn't good enough just by itself. The sponge holds more moisture. So I just kind of layered them on top of each other, and it works better. It's not as good as what I've seen other people be able to do with their the nicer quality sponges, but it works well for me. So I have that sponge and then the paper towel, and then I just put parchment paper on top of it. It'd really be better if I had a container that was like shallow. Shallow supposedly is a lot better, but this I don't know. This just works for me, and it fits in my paint case here, which is a plus. Thanks for coming and hanging out, man. I haven't seen you in a while. I know you've been busy with work, but I've been missing playing D&D with you. You and Rebecca both. You missed the first part of the show. We went and painted an acolyte here. Got him finished up, and I got about a little over half an hour left, so I figured we'd try this baboon. Yeah, because I mean, essentially, you're just trying to get the paper wet and give it like a wet surface to work off of. So really, if you could, hello, Rebecca. If you could like figure a way to get parchment paper to to sit in water, like that would optimally be like the best thing. But since it won't do that, like the sponge helps. So I just thought, let's just get something to help the sponge. Now this definitely doesn't have to be fancy. This baboon is just for wild shape. It does end up being in the appendix of the monster manual, which is why it's on my list. Because we're just kind of going down through the monster manual. But I normally keep the animals pretty simple. I don't spend too much time on them because I just want a table ready. I think it's impressive enough when somebody says, I want to wild shape into a baboon, and you pull out a baboon, and they're like, wait, you have one of those? And like, yeah, man, I got a baboon. I was able to do that last Thursday. One of my players wild shaped into a rhinoceros. I was like, oh, well, yeah, I got a mini for that. Here's a rhinoceros. Pull it up, put it on the table, and they're like, whoa. That rhinoceros was also a bit of a cheat. I ended up, I went to the dollar store and bought like a bunch of little chintzy Chinese made plastic animal toys. And I got like a deer and a horse and some other ones. I just cleaned the molds off of them and painted them up. It turned out really well. I'll show you real quick. It's literally just one of those toys. But once you paint it and like base coat it and put a like wash on it and dry brush it a little. I didn't even do that great of a job. So like you can see the mold lines right up there across its head, and like right there across the back. It's pretty terrible, but you know, when it's sitting on the table, I don't even know. Same thing with this horse. This horse is just a little toy. It's got, this thing has even worse line molds, or mold lines, all along the bottom. But they're cheap. Keeps you from having to 3D print them. Okay. So it looks like that color actually came out pretty well. Okay. Put that up to the reference image. Just need to get like some... Man, if I could just paint the face, and then I could probably just start dry brushing this thing to get that in that dark spot. It looks a little yellow on camera. It's actually a bit more red and closer to that shade. Let's drop him under the fan for a second. And while that's drying, let's pop over here. Take a look at the spreadsheet. So we just finished the Acolyte. We got one of those painted. I have an air elemental, and I kind of don't like him. I've tried painting him, and I'm just not happy with it. And also I found out later that he's large, and he's kind of small in this base. So I might try to salvage it. I don't know, I might pitch it and just try to print another one. The paintbrushes? Yes, they are just, they're, hold on. I have the box. Bought a pack of them the other day. It's just this Crafter's Collection. Number 8s. Yeah, you can see it in the middle. Number 8s. And they're just pointy enough to be able to do like faces and eyes with. And then when I mistreat them, because I'm not good at taking care of brushes yet, then they get worse, and I use them for washes and for eventually for dry brushing. Let's see, we've got the Androsphinx. There's the ape. Where's the baboon? There's the baboon. So I've got 2 axe beaks that I need to print. I mean, that I need to paint. There's the Azer. Awakened Tree, and that's huge. That's going to be a big one. That might be like a multi-stage print. And then an Archmage. I'll have to figure something out for that. But I do have that one subbed. That's what I'm calling, where like if I have one that's close enough that I can use in place of it. So like if I have, so like for example, a black bear down here. I got a model for a black bear, but I've already painted a brown bear. And so if like a black bear comes out of the woods, I can drop a brown bear down. So it's not a high priority. I can sub it for something else. Same thing with a zombie beholder. I'd like to have one, but I've already got a beholder. I can use that for the time being. Alright. Let's swap back over here. Because this guy is done drying. Alright. So let's get a little dark blue. And let's hit it with some black. Probably just do a hand palette. There we go. A little bit more. All right. There we go. I'd like to get some miniature brushes one day, but I feel like I'm not good at taking care of brushes yet, and that it would just be a waste of money. I tried getting some nicer brushes, like one at Hobby Lobby. I got like this one nice brush that was like a good quality one, and I ended up just messing it up. And I was like, well, that was like $10 down the drain, but I chalked it up to a learning experience, and you know, I'm cool with it. Let's get his teeth on here. Just want to rake it across them, nice and gentle. There we go. I think that's okay. I don't know anything about baboons. Yeah, it's it's easy to mess up paintbrushes if you don't know what you're doing, and I definitely don't know what I'm doing yet. All right, well let's take let's do some dry brushing. Actually, hang on to that. Let's go grab one of these messed up ones. Alright, now we want something darker. So I think I'm going to hand palette this. I think I'm going to grab some of that. Grab some tan. Start with a bit of a lighter shading. This is going to be different. Normally I use this to do highlights. We actually want it darker. It's not dark enough. I think I need more. I think I'm being too gentle. Oof, I don't want to mess this up, but... yeah, I mean, I guess it was just like a simple base coat. There's really not much to mess up. Just paint it again if I mess up. It's kind of dark on the tip of the tail. I actually thought about you today, Remington. I was watching a video by Sly Flourish. He was kind of ranking his favorite like D&D published adventures, and he got to talking about Storm King's Thunder for a little bit. Made me think of you, and I'm actually thinking of picking it up. He said he didn't really care for it as like an adventure because he thought it was like really huge and sprawling, and it didn't work too well with his group. But he said that it, along with Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, is like a fantastic resource if you're going to run a campaign in on the Sword Coast. And that's kind of what I'm doing with my new group, the group of new players, as we're doing Lost Mines of Phandelver, and it's kind of going to go around the Sword Coast area. And I have the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, and that's really, really great. And I'd love to have like some more resource books on that area. And he's like, oh, I remember Remington. He was going through Storm King's Thunder. He said it was a very ambitious adventure, and that your players have to be like very self-determined to like know what they want and pursue what they want adventure-wise, because it's very sandboxy. There's not many rails to run on. So I don't know if that's true or not. Yeah, I do have a couple makeup brushes. I haven't used them for a little bit. Yeah, I think that's coming along. I think that's kind of good enough. Kind of want to do this. It's got like a little bit of white down the side of his face. Yeah. And let's put some black blops for his eyes. We're gonna need some more black. I might take you up on that. I do have access to the content in it, so I could like read through it, but I do like the books. Still want to run Curse of Strahd. Chris got me Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft the other day, and I was flipping through it, and it's really cool. It's really spooky. It's definitely more of a book for a dungeon master than it is a book for a player. Though it does have some cool player stuff. It's got like some vampire races that you can play, character options. Okay. Y'all, we got some baboon. Yeah, he actually got me the special one. The special edition. Don't you fall over. It's all iridescent. It's pretty cool. It's got, I think that's Tatiana? Or is that Isabella on the front? I think that's Isabella. It's been a little bit since I read through it. Alright, so we can go ahead and mark Baboon off. And so next time, we will... I think we're going to do probably the Andros... Well, I need to print a base for the Andros Sphinx, so we won't be able to do that next. We'll probably be able to do... got Barbed Devils, got Bandits, Axe Beaks, and the Azure. Either the Axe Beaks or the Azure next week. So, for those not aware, I'm streaming on Tuesdays and Saturdays now. 9 o'clock, 9 to 12, or 9 to whenever. Sorry, 9 to 11. And it's mostly going to be, like, Tuesdays are going to be just painting whatever suits my fancy, stuff that I need for my game on Thursday. And then on Saturdays, I'm going through the monster manual and hopefully make a big shelf. I've got a lot that have yet to be done. It's a big list. And that's just the monster manual is 451 unique monsters. And if you'll notice here, I've got like 15. Like, I wanted a nice swath of zombies so I could like drop a horde down. So it's actually going to be more than 451. So I have 82 done. 82 means like just these different line items. So like the zombies would count as one with that 82. But so far I've painted and printed and painted 239 minis. And I'm able to sub 45. So I don't know. So that would be, I should probably do one like how many is left out of the done. This is going to equal this minus, if I just do monster manual, that should be 451? No, because it's not counting the top. That will be 450. Oops, I should do that the other way around. 450 minus that. So I have 368 more unique monsters to print and paint. Oh, this is how many I have done. And these are, yeah, that's how it is. And that's remaining out of how many I need. So like I anticipate needing 3 werebores and 1 werebear. So it's actually 425 remaining out of 664. So, and that'll fluctuate as I decide how many I need on a certain day. That also includes I decided that I wanted to make 2 minis, at least a male and female, for the races. So like Aarakocra, Aasimar, even like the different elves. But that's kind of like, that's at the bottom of the list. And I also did it just to keep track of the ones that I already had. Like I have 6 dwarves that I already made. And then 1 that is yet to be painted, just to keep track of them. And then I plan to take that and transfer it over. Well, I've got Volos here. Volos is next. Then Mordenkainen's Tomophos. And there's not as many in either of those. But then I have them for all of the adventures that I'm going to be playing. So Lost Mines of Phandelver, I needed one extra drow, and yeah, that's the same one, the drow doppelganger, or the doppelganger that looks like a drow. If I can get that one painted, then I actually have the entire box set of minis for Lost Mines of Phandelver. So I can just keep those all together and just use that whenever I want to play the game. And I plan to do the same thing for Dragons of Ice Spire Peak. I got Curse of Strahd, and some of these overlap. Like I already have some of these from different places. Baldur's Gate, Descent into Avernus. I'm probably going to undo that. I don't have that book yet. And our Descent into Avernus game is kind of stalled, so I'm probably not gonna need anything on that. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and finish a little early tonight, since we're kind of caught up. But thank you guys for hanging out and watching. I appreciate you supporting the stream, and see you Tuesday. And if not Tuesday, I'll see you Saturday. Y'all be good.